What's up everybody, I'm Seth Fowler and today I'm unboxing and reviewing the brand new Google Pixel 6 Pro and trying to answer the question, how pro is the Pixel 6 Pro? So originally I was going to drop two videos on the Pixel 6 Pro. I was going to drop an unboxing about a week before the phone came out because this came in yesterday and this is about a week before the phone came out, and then a review whenever the embargo lifts on the phone, which is about a week after today. But I decided to actually just drop them all together in one video because it might be more interesting than watching two separate videos that have a lot of the same information. And also you've probably seen like 50 different unboxings from everyone else who got this phone from Google already, and I figured, you know what, you guys don't need to see another one, at least not a separate video of another one. So today's video is kind of going to be a double whammy. You're getting the unboxing first about a week before I film the rest of the video, and then the second part of the video is going to be a full review after I've had this phone for about a week. So to start off the video, why don't we start off with an unboxing of the promotional packaging that Google sent over. Huge thank you to Google and made by Google, and also hashtag Team Pixel for all of this Pixel goodness. I really appreciate it. So the box that they sent over is this really nice sort of like blue satin box with the Google logo in the center. You've got this magnetic clip or clasp on the front, and when you open it up, it reveals this insane like diorama sort of situation going on, this sort of pop-up right there. And then underneath that flap, you got the phone, the thing that we're all here for. So the first thing inside the box, or at least the first thing underneath the flap, is this note. And why don't I go ahead and read you guys the note, which gives you some information about the phone itself. So the note says, Google Pixel 6 for all that you are. Introducing the Pixel 6 Pro, the completely redesigned, fully loaded Google phone. The Pixel camera system includes a pro-level telephoto lens. The smooth display intelligently adjusts up to 120 Hz, crazy fast. Next-gen Titan M2 security helps protect you, your data, and your privacy. And with the Google Tensor processor, it's the smartest and fastest Pixel yet. But this Pixel is like the first pro-level Pixel, the first like flagship Pixel that's dropped in a while, and I'm so excited about that because Google's interface is designed specifically for this phone. So this phone is like the best Android experience that you could possibly have. So I'm super excited about that. So inside the rest of the box, you've got the phone box, and then you've also got the Pixel 6 Pro case. So let me pull out the case first. We're gonna actually open the second, put on the phone, and then of course the phone itself right here, the Google 6. I've been saying Google Pixel Pro so many times. I've had to redo so many takes. Okay, so here's the Google Pixel 6 right here. And then I think that's everything inside the box. Now what I love about this packaging is that they actually got rid of all the plastic on the outside of the box, and instead you've just got these two little pull tabs right here. So we're just gonna pull these little tabs and reveal the Stormy Black Pixel 6 Pro. So here we go. Very easy to open. Ooh, oh man, look at that. There it is. The Pixel 6 Pro Stormy Black. So pulling out the phone is super easy. You just pull this little tab right here. And then of course we're gonna pull that off in the front, reveal the screen. But before we do that, I do wanna take a look at what else is inside the box. You've got your, looks like SIM card removal tool right there and some instructions. And then you've also got your USB-C to USB-C cable. And then your, I guess, USB-C to USB Type A cable or adapter right here. And that's pretty much all there is to it. It doesn't look like there's a power brick in this box at all. It seems like a couple brands have been doing that recently, which I guess is fine. Most people already have them, but if you don't, you will have to run out to the store and grab one, unfortunately. But that's pretty much all there is inside the box. So let's pull off this paper on the front of the phone. Here we go. Listen to that. Man, this is a gorgeous, gorgeous phone, and it's got some nice weight to it too. It feels very, very premium. I've loved the other Pixels, but I've got to say that compared to the Pixel 5 from last year, this feels like a flagship phone. Like, this is a fully glass device. I think the edges are maybe stainless steel or something like that, but it feels like a very heavy, very premium device, and the screen size is large. I think this one has a 6.7-inch display. I can't get over how much I love the color of this phone. You've got this lighter gray guy on the top above this camera bar right here, and then on the bottom half of the phone, you've got this darker gray with the Google logo right there. And then on the front of the phone, it looks like you've got your display with the hole punch camera. Let me see if it actually has any battery. And then around the metal edges, you seem to have this very dark sort of black finish, which means you're not going to see too many fingerprints. And then on the top, you've got a plastic portion, which I guess is for the 5G antenna. I think the camera array will definitely be something that some people will either love or they'll hate. I personally think it's super cool. It's super unique. I'm definitely into it. Okay, so I'm not going to set this up just yet because I can't show you guys just yet. I am going to, however, unbox the case, which looks like they gave me a green case, like a sea green case or sea foam case. Look at that. Okay, so the case is semi-translucent, sort of frosted plastic. It's got a nice little cutout for the camera array, but I'm actually blown away by how premium this phone feels. So now what I'm gonna do is actually transfer my SIM card from my other phone to this phone. I realize that I'm doing it the old school way, but that's how I have my phone set up. So I'm gonna transfer my SIM card and get to using this phone and come back in about a week and let you guys know what I think about it. So I've been using the Google Pixel 6 Pro for about a week at this point, and I'm ready to give you guys my thoughts. And right off the bat, I'm impressed. This is definitely the Pixel that I've been looking forward to. Not that any of the previous Pixels were bad, for example the Pixel 5a, but they all felt like mid-range phones. The Pixel 6 Pro, and I guess the Pixel 6 for that matter, feel like premium flagship phones. And for someone who really likes stock Android and having the newest Android updates, having a phone that can capitalize on the newest Android updates and be super fast and look super good is really important, and Google finally gave me a phone that can do that. Not to mention, it's a pretty wild looking phone, and I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw images of this phone, I wasn't sure what to think of it, but after having it in hand and realizing that this sort of visor situation actually makes the phone a lot more stable on a table when I use it a lot, I'm kinda into it. Also, I've gotta admit, that color change between the top panel of glass and the bottom panel of glass is really, really nice, even on this Storm Black colorway. I'm sorry, Stormy Black colorway. Stormy Black, not Storm Black. Stormy Black. They have to be very specific about those adjectives. And also, if you're not a fan of the Stormy Black colorway, you can also get two other colorways in the Pixel 6 Pro, the Cloudy White and the Sorta Sunny colorway, which of course is yellow. Their colorway naming scheme is cute and it's funny and I don't mind it, but it's weird. But before we dive any deeper, why don't we dig into some of the tech specs of the Google Pixel 6 Pro. So the first thing that you'll notice about this phone, and the main thing that you'll be looking at on this phone, is a 6.7-inch QHD Plus display. And from my very limited display knowledge, I've got to say that this screen looks great. The contrast is great, the color accuracy seems to be great, and it's a very vibrant phone. Which is kind of funny for me to say because I'm using a white background on this phone, but when you see really vibrant pictures on this phone, they really pop on this display. And not only that, it's a 120 Hz display, so you get really buttery smooth movements, which I love. Of course, it supports HDR and it's an always-on capable display, which means you can have like a clock or something on your phone at all times. You can just kind of look down at the screen, even if it's turned off, or I guess not turned off, on standby, and still see that clock and know exactly what time it is without looking at a watch or anything else. Now, something about this phone that really makes it feel modern and a lot more like a flagship device is the fact that they've got this sort of pinhole or punched out camera right there in the front of the screen. I much prefer this punch out camera or pinhole camera to the notch that other phones have because it takes up less screen real estate. The only downside is because it's such a small little circle, you don't have the room for something like a full sensor array for face unlock. You do, however, have an underscreen fingerprint reader, which is pretty accurate and works very quickly, which I love. I didn't mind it being on the back of the phone like with the Pixel 5a, but there's something about having it under the screen that just makes it feel so cool and futuristic. Something that I really love about this new Android interface is the way that these new icons actually change color based on the background that you're using on your phone. It's a super cool feature. It allows you to customize the phone in many more ways than you were able to in the past, and it really makes the phone feel much more personalized. Also, a new design feature on the Pixel 6 Pro is the fact that the screen actually curves around the edges, which is not new by any stretch of the imagination. We've seen that on a lot of other Android phones, but it definitely makes the phone feel a little bit thinner in your hand and a little bit more compact. Now, I know that some people don't love that. I actually have a friend who said that he specifically did not like that because he wants full screen real estate that you can touch on every corner of the screen. And yes, while you can touch the sides of the screen, it is a little bit weirder to kind of interact with the sides of the screen versus the front of the screen, and for some people, this curved edge might not be for them. Personally though, I've always liked curved edges. I mean, I grew up with a Razr, so I'm used to flip phones, and curved edges have always felt super, super futuristic for me. I know I've said that like a million times about this phone already, but it looks cool. That's all I can say, it looks cool. One thing I was really happy about with this phone was battery life. I switched to this phone for a full week, used it every single day as my daily driver, and I was very impressed by how long the battery life actually is. Now, Google says that this phone will last up to 24 hours with regular use and 48 hours with extreme battery saver. I didn't get exactly that. I got maybe more like 16 to 20 hours. Still not bad though, but I use my phone a lot. Like a lot. I fall asleep watching YouTube most nights, so it's a heavy use item. And I was honestly still impressed with the battery life, even though I didn't get exactly what Google said that I would get. Of course, you do have fast wireless charging, which is always a good thing, and you can also charge other devices on the back of this device. It's not a new feature, but it's definitely nice to see on a Pixel device. As far as durability, the Pixel 6 Pro and the Pixel 6 for that matter are made up of almost entirely glass. Now, to be fair, it is very strong glass, but it's still glass, and although it makes the phone feel much more premium, it definitely feels more fragile than I think previous Pixel devices have that weren't made out of glass. Now, good news is the Pixel 6 Pro is IP68 water and dust resistant, which is kind of a standard at this point. And apparently the phone also has a fingerprint resistant coating, which I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't seem to be working that well right now. I had the phone in a case almost the entire time that I used it, but just from talking about this phone in the review and not having it in a case, it is covered in fingerprints. Oh, one other thing before we move on from durability, something that MKBHD pointed out in his unboxing of this phone is the fact that around this camera visor, because it's sort of a flat 90-degree angle, you get a lot of dust in these edges, and I am painfully aware of that because of his unboxing. I don't know if I would have noticed it on my own, but I've got to say, looking at it now, there is just a ton of dust in these little 90-degree angles right here, which I guess isn't the worst thing in the world, but I would have preferred there being more of a soft sort of radius leading up to the camera so you don't collect as much dust in these little notch areas. I mean, honestly, that's kind of a small gripe, but it's definitely something that you will notice and you will probably deal with if you get this phone. Speaking of cameras, the Pixel 6 Pro has a giant camera array on the back of the phone. And let me tell you, one of the standout features of the Pixel 6 Pro and the Pixel 6 is how good this camera array actually is. So the first camera that you have is a 50 megapixel camera, which is kind of like mind-blowing. It also has optical image stabilization and a laser autofocus system. In addition to that, you've also got a 12 megapixel ultra-wide camera and a 48 megapixel telephoto camera, which in my opinion makes the Google Pixel 6 Pro an incredibly capable camera system. You've got a lot of different options and they all work really well. Not only that, but Google's also worked incredibly hard on the software side of their camera systems. You can do things like erase people out of the backgrounds of your images just from AI, which is so crazy to me. And not only that, this phone is a lot more sensitive to skin tones, so you can get much more color accurate skin tones than you could from any other phone in the past. In fact, I think Google is calling this their most inclusive phone yet, specifically because it can detect everyone's skin tones. And honestly, I love the camera. It was an excellent camera. We've gotten used to that with Pixel devices. They've all had really good cameras. It's definitely top of its class. As far as the front-facing camera, it's 11.1 megapixels and it's decent. It's alright for a front-facing camera. But now let's talk about one of the standout features of the Google Pixel 6 Pro, and that's the brand new chipset that Google actually makes itself, the Tensor chip. So a lot of brands have been doing this recently. They've sort of been transitioning over from using other manufacturers' chipsets and creating their own. And because they create their own, those chips are specifically designed to work really well with their operating systems and with the devices that they're used on. And because of that, you get pretty incredible speeds on your device. And from someone who doesn't do like a lot of benchmark tests and doesn't really know how to do a lot of benchmark tests, I was incredibly blown away by how fast this phone actually is. I'll tell you that I played a lot of games on this phone, very intense games on this phone, and I was impressed. It never slowed down once, and this is definitely one of the faster phones on the market. If you want more in-depth, detailed reviews of the Tensor chip, I definitely recommend checking out other people's reviews because I'm sure they're more capable of doing that than I am. The last thing I wanted to cover about the Google Pixel 6 Pro are the storage options. There are 3 different storage options that you can go with, and they all come with 12 gigabytes of RAM. There's a 128 gigabyte option that starts at $899. There's a 256 gigabyte option and of course a 512 option. Obviously the prices will increase depending on which storage size that you go with, and unfortunately you can't actually increase the storage of this phone after the fact. There's no SD card slot on the device. Google and just Android phones in general have really started locking down their devices. They're not as customizable as they used to be other than maybe the interface, and honestly I don't think that's that bad of a thing. I am someone who doesn't really customize my devices though. I don't really ever throw in new SD cards or change out the battery, so I'm probably not the right person to complain about that, but it is something to keep in mind. Oh, also one other thing is that they've decided to drop the headphone jack in this device, so you're either going to have to use USB-C headphones or wireless headphones. But before we wrap things up, I do want to give you all my final thoughts on the Pixel 6 Pro and whether I think that you should buy it. Overall, I think that the Pixel 6 Pro is an excellent device and definitely worth picking up if you're looking for a new Android phone or a new Pixel device. The Tensor chip is stupid fast, I mean incredibly fast, at least from my testing. The camera array is excellent and works in pretty much any setting. The night mode is incredible. The battery life on this phone is awesome. You can fast charge it. I love it. The screen on the phone is huge. It's bright. It's beautiful. It's fast. And the industrial design of this phone, in my opinion, is what really sets it apart. This visor is weird, but it catches people's attention. It makes the phone not rock on tables, which is awesome. And it looks crazy. I love the way that this phone looks. Plus it feels like an incredibly premium device. It feels solid. It feels kind of weighty. I love that about it. And I think it's going to be a durable phone even though it's made up of glass. The only thing I didn't love about the design is that they moved all the buttons over to the right side of the phone. You've got the power button and the volume button right over top of each other, and that's it. It's something that I guess you get used to, but when you're taking screenshots, you kind of have to use 2 hands. But honestly, after a week of using this phone, that's really my only complaint. And I would say if you're looking for a flagship Android device, the Pixel 6 Pro makes a really solid case for itself and definitely deserves to be considered. But now I would love to know your thoughts on the Google Pixel 6 Pro and whether this is a phone that you plan on picking up in the future. So make sure to let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.